Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Yan. It's my pleasure to be here to present our works on behalf of my co-authors. Today, I would like to introduce you StoryChat, a narrative-based viewer participation tool for live streaming chat rooms. Live streaming has become extremely popular these days. According to Twitch, there are 8 million unique streamers streaming each month on Twitch, and there are 2.5 plus billion Twitch users on the platform at any given time, which translates to over 31 million daily unique users visiting Twitch. However, there's a common problem in live streaming that all users, including streamers and viewers, have to face with and experience with, which is negative comment, which may include profanity, personal attacks, sexual harassments, hate speech, trollings, and so on. From this example, you can see that the live streamers are experiencing with massive amount of text images with some sexual comments. Of course, to combat these negative comments, there are tons of moderation approaches. The main two types of moderation approaches including the human moderators and also the automatic moderations, including algorithm-based, chatbot, machine learning-based approaches. But human moderators may introduce mental health issues for the moderator itself, and algorithm-based might introduce bias and some black box issue. And both of them focus on encouraging prosocial comments, not encouraging prosocial comments. They're focusing on intervening negative comments. And both of them are reactive moderation approaches, which means that they will only react to the negative comments once they appear. Therefore, we decided to explore the use of proactive moderations. More specifically, we would like to foster viewers' sense of communities and belongings, and eventually accomplish viewer-led moderations. Narratives can act as a cognitive tool for situated understandings. Viewers will produce internal behavior episodes that simulate an event and enable them to imagine actual or potential behaviors as they were the main characters, or they were inside the narrative. So we are thinking the possibilities of leveraging visual narrative in the online community. Previous research has also suggested that reading narrative triggers empathy, reduces tolerance for negative behaviors, and promotes prosocial behaviors. Derived from the prior works and formative studies, we designed StoryChat, which is a viewer participation tool that leverages visual narrative to proactively moderate live streaming chat rooms by the viewer community. For the viewers' comments, this is the overview of our interface. So you can see that viewers' comments could change the storylines of the visual narratives accordingly. For this example, you can see that a ghost is show up. It's because there's some troll or negative comments appeared in the live streaming chat room. To craft the narrative design carefully, we crafted via a viewer-centered iterative design process, which included a low-fidelity prototype workshop with 15 participants and high-fidelity survey with 50 participants, and finalized the dynamic graphical narratives. We asked participants to freely explore, freely craft out the narrative, which involves the trolling events as a major plot. Based on the formative study results, we came up with 3 design considerations or guidelines. First, it should be coherent and simple. Second, the design should immerse viewers in the story so that they can effortlessly imagine themselves in the characters' positions or the circumstances. And the third, they should consider the underlying symbolic meaning and the reasoning behind the use of certain components in the story. So based on the design considerations, here is the finalized storyline. First, this is the stable state of the story. It involves a bear character, which can represent the streamers, which can represent the viewers itself. And they're watching live streamings, interacting with the computers. However, as the instance of negative comments increases in the actual chat rooms, the storyline responds by turning a warm, cozy room to a thunders and lightning outside. At a certain threshold, negative comments in the live streaming chat rooms, the symbolic meanings of these commands, these negative commands, which is a ghost, appears, and the bear was frightened and scared. The reaction of the bear aroused viewers' empathy and encouraged them to send positive comments in the chat. After a certain number of prosocial commands in the live streaming chat rooms, these commands are represented in the form of hearts and surrounding the ghost and expel the ghost. At last, the story returned to the stable state, and that's a full cycle of our story. And this is the actual interface of StoryChat, which of course includes the live streaming chat room content on the left, and on the right there is the design narratives on the top and the chat rooms at the bottom. Next, to determine the thresholds of how or when the ghosts appear, we conducted a pilot test with 18 participants, and we also evaluate the whole systems, the StoryChats, with a deployment study with 48 participants, followed by a semi-structured interview. And we also conducted a post-hoc reviews with 2 streamers and 2 moderators, and to collect their perspectives and their reflections on the findings and also on the systems. Our evaluation metrics have 3 major components. First, of course, we want to see the moderation effectiveness. And the second, we want to see if we have successfully fostered the community sense and let the users feel a sense of belongings. And at last, we want to see the general engagements or the narrative engagements of viewers by using StoryChat. We found that most participants, they enjoyed using the interface, and with the StoryChat, they viewed and interact more with the chat. In addition, they were engaged in the chat and worried about a bear when the negative comments appeared. Participants showed high scores on narrative understanding and narrative presence. The results suggested that the narrative was an attractive but not disruptive tool for most of the participants. With the story, there is a significant increase in the amount of prosocial commands, which encouraged most viewers to participate in the chat and proactively avoid negative commands. One of the reasons behind sending prosocial commands for these viewers might be because the visual narratives and the participants moved from becoming emotionally attached to the story to becoming more connected to the communities, and by connecting to the community, they will send more prosocial commands. The reflections from both streamers and moderators pointed out leveraging a visual narrative as an implicit and proactive moderation tool is interesting and valuable in terms of setting the norms in the chat. It increased the engagements and strengthened community sense. In terms of the moderation effectiveness, both streamers and moderators also noted that viewers participated more in the chat and built stronger relationship with other viewers, which is very important factors in feeling more connected to our streaming sessions and being more self-regulated because of the bystander interventions. So here's the short recap of the overall slides. First, we began with the introductions to the problems of negative comments that all streamers, all users, viewers have to face with, and talk about the current moderation approaches that focus on reactively combating negative comments. To find a proactive moderation approach that can both avoid negative comments and encourage prosocial comments, we designed a visual narrative. We implemented it in the live stream chat rooms, and the storyline changes according to viewers' comments. After the studies, we found that visual narrative successfully promoted prosocial comments and strengthened viewers' sense of community. So we're proudly saying that visual narratives as a moderation approach in the online community is a promising future. This is the end of my presentations, and please check out more details in our papers, and also feel free to contact me if there's any questions. Thank you.